So with sports memorabilia, not everything that's rare is necessarily valuable. And I'll show you an item in a second that illustrates that. Welcome in, everyone. So in this video, I'm going to have 10 sales. I think it's 7 eBay sales, 3 Etsy sales, and I'll discuss an item that, while very rare, is not necessarily very valuable. We have this needlepoint embroidered Detroit Lions plaque. Smaller plaque. You don't see these too often. This guy sold for $37 plus shipping. Line stuff, pretty hot now, as to be expected. They're a team that historically doesn't sell great, but that may be changing. So get that stuff listed. Then we have a cool little ticket stub. This is a St. Louis Browns. I'll show it close up right here. St. Louis Browns, 1943 Boys Brigade season pass. So like a child's Browns fan club like season pass. This sold for $50 plus shipping. St. Louis Browns stuff does tend to sell well. So again, $50 plus shipping. Obviously, very easy shipper. This is a cool piece. So here, and I'm going to show it better right here, but here we have a 1933 Golden Gloves program from Detroit that has a very young Joe Louis listed in the program. Obviously, heavyweight champion of the world. This predates Joe Louis's professional boxing debut. Obviously, one of the best boxers of all time. Heavyweight champion for many years, I think 37 to 49, I believe, but didn't become a professional until 1934. First fought late 1932 as a 17-year-old in Detroit. This program dates from February 17th, 1933. So only a few months into his boxing career as an amateur, he was fighting out of the Detroit Athletic Association. So very early Joe Louis boxing piece. Sold for $245 plus shipping. Definitely a tricky piece to price. Some of the early professional programs of Joe Louis can bring big money. This only shows Louis in like a small little area, which I'll show right here as well. Doesn't show photographs of him. It just lists all the fighters taking place in this Golden Gloves tournament. So, but still, a very cool early program of him. So tricky to price it, but it did sell pretty quick. So sometimes that means I might have underpriced it. But I did a lot of research trying to find similar things. I feel like I did price it so that it was priced right, but that it would sell quickly, which is always my goal. So I discussed in my intro items that are rare, but not necessarily valuable. And the item that I was referring to is this piece. And what this is a glass plate negative. So if people are old enough to remember a camera where you would take the photo, take the film out, take it to your local photo mat, they would give you back an envelope, maybe hours later or a few days later, of photographs, but in the back of that envelope were the negatives. They were flimsy, lightweight, I think acetate they were made of. But long before those style negatives, there were glass plate negatives from like 1910 on before. And the photographer would take a glass plate, a blank glass plate, put it in his camera, capture the negative image with the camera, and then use that negative glass plate image to create a positive photo and create a cabinet photo. So these are pretty rare. These are very rare to find baseball or sports teams on a glass plate negative. But this doesn't look like much on your shelf. It doesn't have great display quality. This looks like a piece of gray glass, right? Unless you have it backlit, it doesn't really have a cool look. So that is going to limit the desirability and the value in the eye of collectors. While a cabinet photo of a baseball team is a lot more common than a glass plate negative, it's much cooler. Like my cabinet photo right here. You can frame it. You can put it on the wall. It looks cool. This doesn't look that cool. So that's why even though it's rare, not necessarily valuable. And this one sold for $49.99 plus shipping. Do have an Etsy sale here. So this is a 1950s Los Angeles Rams 29-inch felt pennant. Does have a little stain shown right here. This one I did sell a little less than I would otherwise because of the stain, and it had some felt damage showing up in here as well. This one sold for $49.99 free shipping. Then sold this starter brand University of Arizona crew neck sweatshirt. Crewneck sell very well this time of year, and Starter brand is always a great brand to sell. This one sold for $49.99, free shipping. Shipping should be $6, $7, $8, somewhere in that range for like ground advantage. I sold this wool blend A&I brand Chicago Bears snapback hat, 1990s era. This hat sold for $29.99, free shipping. Then sold this Philadelphia Athletics Bakelite pennant pinback button. So it's a Bakelite pennant with a little plastic or Bakelite baseball dangling from it. Bakelite is just an early type of plastic. This one probably dates to around the 1940s. This one sold for $40 plus shipping. Sold this vintage early 1990s Kelly Green Philadelphia Eagles backpack. I don't think this was ever used. Still had a tag, not the original tags, but the original hang tag that would have had the tag. Very beautiful condition, great color. Sold for $40 plus shipping. And last eBay sale. Here we have a pennant brand, and I will show that right here. Pennant brand, Black Beauty model shown right here. This bat has a little grain separation, and you can actually see that right here where this area of the wood grain is separating a bit from the rest of the bat. So that's a condition flaw. Just so if people see old bats, that's how you would describe that, as grain separation. Not a huge detriment to a bat, but does hurt the value a bit. Pennant brand, not a super desirable brand, but still does have a cool center logo with that waving pennant. This bat sold for $100 plus shipping. I had it listed for I think $129.99. Got a $100 offer, which was a fair offer. I took that. I have a lot of bats, happy to move them. This was the first time I've encountered the new eBay offer situation where the person made the $100 offer. I accepted it, but it didn't show up in my orders. Didn't show up in awaiting payment. Didn't show up in paid for. And when I went to the item, when you looked at the offers, it would show. It seemed like I sent him a $100 offer, which he had sent it to me and I accepted it. But I think what that is that's eBay's new system where if you get an offer, you accept it. Until that buyer pays, that listing is still up for sale. So while I was waiting on that buyer to pay, somebody else would have come in and made a $120 offer or bought it outright at the buy it now price. That initial buyer offer wouldn't have held up and the new buyer would have got it. So that's why I was sort of in limbo. I didn't realize that initially, but that's why that's in limbo. So it's a cool thing that, for this person paid relatively quickly. For those people who are very slow to pay, your item's still going to be sitting out there listed, which is a cool improvement by eBay. It's not often that eBay makes positive improvements, but that's one of them that until people pay, that's up for grabs still. So that gives people motivation to hopefully pay a little quicker. Again, no complaints on this buyer. He paid quick, but we all know we get those buyers that pay a couple days later. So anyway, that wraps up my orders. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.